Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing the latest generation of the Rolex Oyster Perpetual Datejust. This is the 126200, 36 millimeters in stainless steel. The watch is 11.4 millimeters thick by 43.3 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip. There's a little bit of extension of the end links beyond the lugs, so the total distance here is 45.2 millimeters across the wrist with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Throwing the watch on my wrist, and my wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see the classical 36 millimeter Datejust is a perfect fit. It's been the size since the original Datejust arrived back in 1945 for the 40th anniversary of the Rolex company. This size is perfect for smaller wrists, those with traditional tastes, and also men and women. It is a unisex option. The timepiece sits flat. It's got a domed bezel, so it'll easily slide underneath the dress cuff. It is both a dress watch and a sports watch, and this particular version embodies the best of both. Taking a quick look at the bracelet, it is an Oyster Bracelet, which is a sporty Rolex bracelet. The Presidents, the Jubilees, and the Pearl Masters are a little bit more dressy, a little bit more opulent. This is larger, the links are more solid, they're broader, and then we have a polished straight through center to let you know this is not an entry-level model in the Rolex catalog. Satin finished shoulders, polished outer faces on both sides, removable links fixed by screws. Then we have polished clasp internals with a beak and a hook. There's a lift lock system. You can see it latches. You actually have to unlatch it. There's a vertical trigger. It's not a friction fit system. Inside we have a Easy Link system. It's 5 millimeters in or out, snap in, snap out. No tools necessary. It's the equivalent of adding or removing one sizable link. Inside the clasp, you can see that there are 3 divots drilled, so you can use your strap tool to undo the spring bar and change the anchoring point of the bracelet inside of the clasp. So removable links, easy links, and then we have the divots, so we have 3 different ways to size this watch on the wrist. Rolex makes its own cases, clasps, and bracelets, in addition to its dials and movements, and it uses its own steel because it owns its own foundry, and it uses 904L steel. It's not harder than 316, but it is more resistant to corrosion in the face of body and sea salts, and in addition, it has some resilience against a number of industrial acids, maybe more than necessary, but luxury often is about getting more than you need. We have a twin lock crown, screw down, 100 meters water resistant, and because this is the 126-200 reference, we have a domed bezel. That's a little bit of a nod to the original bubble backs, the original Oyster Perpetuals of the 1930s, 40s, and 50s that had a sort of domed profile front and back. And this watch is a little nod to that aesthetic heritage. The dial is a silver sunburst that seems to have undertones of champagne to it. There's a little bit of yellow in here. It's not pure silver. We have white gold hands, indices, and Rolex crown. White gold because it resists oxidation and tarnish over time. Cyclops eye and crystal in sapphire for scratch resistance. We have a relatively sporty dial because not every Datejust is loomed. This one is, and quite dramatically so. As you can see, Rolex Chromolite Blue Lume, they even make their own proprietary lume. Now the dial features hour and minute baton hands that have been fluted down their center to create a higher contrast against the silver base. And then the silver uses a sunburst pattern radiating out from the center. We also have little black hash marks outboard, and of course, as with all new model Rolex watches and revised model lines since 2018, we've got the little Rolex crown between Swiss and made. Underneath the case back, the case back doesn't change, but underneath the case back we have the caliber 3235 automatic winding with the new Leica-etched chronergy escapement that's basically Rolex's answer to Omega's coaxial. It's a more efficient Swiss lever rather than an exotic escapement as with the coax, but it extends the power reserve from 48 hours to 70 hours. We have hacking seconds, a quick set date. The watch is a certified chronometer, but Rolex takes the certified movement, cases it up, and tests it in 6 positions to ensure it runs no worse than -2 +2 seconds per day. That is Rolex's basis for that term superlative chronometer in the modern era. So in addition to the hacking and quick-set functionality, you have a number of anti-shock features built in. This movement generation, in contrast to the previous 3135, includes a winding rotor ball bearing rather than a jeweled staff, and that's a little bit tougher. We have a full balance bridge and a free spring index, also for toughness and shock resistance. We have a handmade overcoil hairspring that helps the watch to keep even time in any physical position with respect to gravity. It beats weight 8 beats per second, pivots on 31 joules, and it uses a blue oxidized niobium zirconium alloy for that overcoil hairspring that makes this watch highly anti-magnetic, water resistant, shock resistant, and anti-magnetic. As I mentioned, this is a very sporty timepiece. It's got the heart of a sports watch inside the body of a dress watch, and highly versatile. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.